days got me weak. You're Mozart in the sheets. You make a sinner out of me. I'ma need a priest, and I'll be singing Holy Mother of Moses. I just wanna buy you roses, open every door that closes, and kiss you from your head to your toes. I like your soul, baby. You got that heart made of gold, baby. I'm gonna love you till I'm old, baby. I just wanna be your baby. I like your soul. I like your soul. I like your soul. I like your soul. Don't need to be undressing to feel like you're impressing. Must have died and gone to heaven. Gonna take me to confession. Give me fire. Yeah, you got me singing Holy Mother of Moses. I just wanna buy you roses, open every door that closes, and kiss you from your head to your toes. I like your soul, baby.
Hey there. I just want to say welcome, welcome. What a wonderful Monday night that we've had. And I'm so excited about the topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. It's one of my most favorite ones. And the speakers and the testimonies that you're going to hear tonight are just going to be fantastic. So I just want to say real quick, I just thank everybody for joining us for this segment of Stories of Hope. And as we talked about the topic, supporting the gut-brain connection and how everything, if you can support the brain, you can support the gut. If you can support the gut, it supports the brain. And that's what Soul does together. So I am super excited to share with you the lineup for tonight. Go ahead and go to the next one. I want to introduce one of my favorite people, Ashley Geigel. Is she ready to share her testimony that she gets to do with her children?
I am. I just asked Melanie if she'd go grab the ProBio and the AC cream. So we'll see if she makes it back in or not. But hey, everybody, how are you? When I came to Soul, I was just so excited that I had been with multiple companies in the past. We're like, oh, don't give your children all of this product, or, a sip here and there is probably okay. But one of my favorite things about Soul is that I literally am able to give them any and all of the products. And ProBio IQ and the AC cream is one of them that we use all the time. It kind of started off with, when I started with Soul, my 3-month-old was just in that transition from breast milk to formula. And so if you're a mom, you kind of know they go through that stage where they get plugged up and constipated. And she was number 4. So I knew this was coming. And at the time I had seen somebody else actually put the ProBio in the belly button, put an AC cream on it and rub it in, or put a Band-Aid over it. So I thought, well, what the heck? And seriously, my 3-month-old, the digestion issues just were never there. She was going regularly, normally, however you want to say it. Her bowel movements weren't an issue. So there is that. amazing testimony that I have. And now I just opened the capsule and I put it in her Vital and Renew, and she doesn't even know it. Like, she drinks all the things. And then for my older kids, I've really noticed that one of them had a severe stomach reactions, I guess you can say, when there was too many breads or too many sugars, or, I mean, they're kids, right? They eat everything. And so when we would put the ProBio IQ in his belly button and feed him that way with the AC cream and a Band-Aid over top, things just went way smoother for him, and his just the upset of his stomach was a lot easier to handle. So ProBio IQ has been really amazing for all of my children, and I can definitely tell, even too, with 2.5 years of using the product on the children, that when they don't have it, their behaviors or attitude is off a little bit, versus when we are very regimented and get that in their system every single night. So just a huge game changer for our family.
Oh, Ashley, I love that. I love that we can think outside the capsule. We don't have to swallow something. We don't have to open it up and put it into a drink. That we can do this for our little babies and our little souls that need that extra support, because we know if we can feed the gut, our brain is then fed as well. So I do love that, because when I read that, I'm like, feeding the belly button is so easy to do. And it really is. I've done it with my children, with my grandchildren. My brother, who is just a little younger than I am, and I'm not sharing my age, but when he came, he's like, I got a pretty big belly button. How many can we fit in there? And we fit 2.5 capsules. And so we did that, and he was like, oh, and he did tell me the next day, he said, yeah, I went to the bathroom quite a bit. And I said, perfect, that was our goal. So thank you for sharing. And I just love that it is for everyone. You know, you don't have to be over 18, and you don't have to worry about that. So I just love that all of the products are safe for all ages, and even our animals. So I love that. So thanks so much for sharing. All right, so let's just ask a question. Have you ever wondered, why do I need adaptogens daily? And I am so excited to introduce someone who is going to teach us a little bit about why adaptogens are so powerful, and why they are safe, and why we can use them daily. So help me welcome Tammy Peterson, and she's going to just share a few minutes with us about how important adaptogens are.
Thank you so much, Corinne, for having me. I love this subject, so I hope I do it justice, because I get so excited. Sometimes I forget things because I'm so excited about adaptogens. But first of all, let's talk about what adaptogens are, okay? Adaptogens are these really smart herbs that kind of know what to do. They get in your body. They're like little workmen. They look around to see what's imbalanced, and they head off in that direction to solve that problem and this problem. And before you know it, you're just balanced. And that's the amazing thing, because they're going to help you balance your mind and your body. They're going to help you balance your emotional stressors and your physical stressors, because truly everything in the body is interconnected. Nothing works alone. You can't just solve one problem. I heard Val say one time, you can't just cut off the elbow because it hurts, because something's causing the pain, right? Adaptogens work on the whole body, and that's why they're so amazing. Okay, slide 2. Okay, so here's what makes an adaptogen, okay? First of all, they have to be safe for daily use, which is so different than Western medicine, right? You can use these every day. They are not herbs that are just for a crisis situation. You can take them today, and your body is still going to need them tomorrow. It's just like eating a salad. You know, your body never doesn't need nutrition. The adaptogens are always going to be safe for use. They also have a ton of medicinal plant components. So there's a lot to them. They're very, like, when you read about adaptogens, it almost sounds non-specific, because there's so much to them. They do so much. It says that they help balance the function of the mind and body, which is super important because we have all learned that you cannot balance one without the other. You just cannot do it. You need both, right? And it helps with stamina. So even if one is interesting, even if one calms you, in the long run, what it's going to do is give you like emotional stamina. So it's balancing. It's not raising something too high or lowering something too low. It's balancing. And that's what our body needs. It's interesting because our bodies are smart. They want to be balanced, and adaptogens want to balance. So the combination of our smart bodies with these amazing smart herbs, the result is a balance, nothing that's out of whack. And then anytime you read about an adaptogen, they're always going to help with your immune response, which we know right now is so important. Okay, the next slide, pretty please. Okay, so here's the benefits. We talked about them a little bit. It reduces the impact of stressors. We all have stressors every day, whether it's, emotions, whether it's environmental, physical, whatever it is, we have stressors on our body, emotionally and physically. We might have we know we have something physical going on, a stressor, but the result may be that it's an emotional reaction, right? Or we might have something emotional going on, but then we have a physical reaction. So adaptogens help to reduce the impact of those stressors on both emotional or physical. Then after you do have the stress, your body can recover from it. I've always said that like your body can hold up as long as it has to. Then when that stress is done, it collapses. Adaptogens help your body not to just collapse. It stops it before it reaches that overwhelmed or burnt out stage. And then you can customize their benefits to match our own particular needs, which that's what makes them so smart. So adaptogens become your own personal herbal prescription, so to speak, to use a term loosely, because what I may need emotionally or physically is different than what you may need. But that one adaptogen can help me my way and you your way. So they're really amazing. Okay, so this is a great slide to show what a usual stress response is, right? We all have stresses. It's just not avoidable. We just talked about that. But your body usually responds by that really high arch you see there, right? You have this just out of balance response, physically or emotionally, and then it stays there. What adaptogens do is you're still going to have the stress. They're going to help you respond to that stress, and they're going to help it be a natural response, a slow response, a balanced response, instead of this just way up and then way down. So they work in your body to know exactly what you need to balance. And the amazing thing about an adaptogen is maybe you're taking an adaptogen for one thing, right? You have come to somebody and you want help, and this is your symptom. So you start taking this adaptogen. And then all of a sudden you realize all of these other things are falling into balance with this one adaptogen or these combinations of herbs and adaptogens. It's almost like adaptogens have good side effects. Like they're here to help with this, but then now all these other things are helped. So I think that adaptogens are just so important because they become personal to us. And I think all of us on here have a personal story of how they helped us. We could have used the same bottle of Adaptable or Renew or whatever it is, but how they helped us is very personal. And that's why Soul is so amazing, because to each of us, it becomes our own why, our own story. And I will never stop using them. So thank you, Greg, for making them for us or putting them in your products for us.
Oh my, go ahead. Let's go ahead and go right into the probio from Tammy.
Okay, so I have been using ProBio IQ since I started Soul, which has been several years ago, and I love the product. But one way that I started using it was after I had had a super intense headache, and it had been going on for probably a couple days, and it was so bad. Like I couldn't sleep. It was just a terrible headache. And so what I did was I took 4 probios, and then I would take one every hour after that. And probably within 5 hours, the headache had completely gotten so much better. And then by the end of the day, it was completely gone, which I was thrilled with because it was such an intense headache. So then whenever myself or my other family members started to get sick, I thought, well, if it worked for that, I should try it on just even sicknesses. So anytime somebody is coming down with something, I'll have them take, 2 to 3 probios, and then one every hour after that until they're not noticing symptoms or till they feel better. And that has been so helpful. We love it. And in fact, I had just had a call today from my son-in-law that is not feeling well. So anyway, told him the same thing. So hopefully it will work again today and that he doesn't get the rest of the family sick. So try that out. And just a heads up, the ProBio, using it that way, it's a great way to also have a detox, a mini detox. So don't be surprised if that will actually start detoxing you, and you'll probably be in the restroom, but it's a great thing. All right, have a great day.
Oh my word, that was wonderful too. I do want to just highlight a couple of things that Tammy said. As she's talking about adaptogens, she says they know what to do. And she said that we could all use, the same bottle of adaptable and we're going to get different results. So I love that they just know what to do and how they adapt to your body. And then I love that she said smart body plus smart herbs equals balance, because I think that's what we all are striving for, is balance. And just so amazing. And I love what Tammy shared about the ProBio. ProBio is so powerful. And you guys, I don't think you can have a conversation with a girlfriend, your neighbor, and someone always mentions that they need a little bit of a detox. So now we have a little thing in our back pocket that's like, if you're just needing something little, the ProBio is such a wonderful way to support the gut and really help slough off all of the things that are kind of holding us back. So that is so wonderful. Okay, our next one, it is my privilege to go ahead and introduce our president and CEO of Soul Naturals, and it's Greg Halliday. And I am so excited that he is here to talk to us tonight about ProBio IQ. And Greg, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you, Corinne, and good evening, everybody. So we've learned from the Tammys today. It's Tammy Day. We have Tammy Bontrager and Tammy Peterson. And I want to say something, because I was listening to Tammy talk, and then I was watching the video by Tammy B. And I've known them both for quite a few years now. So a couple days ago, well, I guess it was last Wednesday, I was on a Zoom with Debbie. For all those of you who may know Debbie. And Debbie brought up that I had said something to her, and I just want you to know, I said this privately, so it wasn't like a public trying to score points thing. This was just because she's a good friend. And I told her, I go, Debbie, you look younger now than when you came to Soul almost 10 years ago. And it really is true. I've known her for 30 years. So I can say stuff like that to her. That's what I was sitting there saying, looking tonight. I've known Tammy and both Tammys. And I'm going, why these Soul women look younger with time? And it really is true. I'm looking at you on the camera. And I think it's just that wonderful thing about finding balance in our bodies and also doing good things nutritionally to manage stress and kind of do those two things. And it's amazing how good we look, right? If you could just help me now figure out how to keep more hair on the top of my head, then we can be even, okay? Because right now, you're kind of showing the example here. But I am excited to talk about ProBio because, Tammy Bontrager talked a little bit about immune side of it. And it actually has this amazing immune side. So what I'm going to share tonight, I'm going to do the weird thing where I stare into the screen because I'm going to read some stuff to you. Because I just want to give you some of my favorite, yes, thank you, Tammy Roy. And look, right there, it's purpley. Yes, and this is my bottle of longevity. So yes, but I need to do more even. Okay, so ProBio, there are a lot of ways I can talk about this, and I can't do it. Seriously, I can't do it and show all the greatness of this formula in less than like 25 minutes. I know, and we don't have 25 minutes tonight, so I'm going to pick a piece of it and share with you. I'd rather pick a piece and give you all the detail, and hopefully that can be helpful to someone that needs to hear this tonight, or that you share it with. So let me just say this: 6 different probiotic strains are in here. The first 5 were all chosen because they disproportionately benefit mental health and stress management. All probiotics, Tammy taught it really well. Tammy P taught it really well. You cannot disconnect body from mind. And they all do affect that. And we're just barely like the tip of the iceberg of probiotics in the microbiome, understanding various strains and what they do, and the blend, the mix that we have in our gut, the difference it can make, and how it can actually show us what's going on. I mean, there's so much there. I'm excited really to actually and look forward to the research that we're going to see coming in the next years and decade on probiotics, because they're getting studied more and more. We chose these first 5 strains in there. You can look at them on the bottle because they are excellent, and several of them studied in combination with each other. That's why they're in there. They do all the great stuff in the gut, and they're wonderful immune enhancers. They're actually immune modulators. Some people get afraid if they have something autoimmune. I don't want to stimulate my immune system even more. But that's what's the great thing about adaptogens and these strains of probiotics. They don't exacerbate that situation. They make it more effective, like the slide said that Tammy showed, because they modulate. They don't just simply excite immune or over accelerate immune function. Okay, so just a couple words on those. Now we added a 6th strain. That's the one I wanted to tell you about tonight. That's where I want to stare weirdly into the screen and read some facts to you on another slide. And then there are 2 herbs in this formula. Now, I will tell you part of the reason the herbs are here, just very frankly, because there comes to a time when you're formulating where there are practical realities of how much can fit in a capsule. Probiotics are hugely numerous in a pinhead worth of space. They don't need a capsule or anything close to it. And so what's commonly done in the industry is to put food for them, prebiotics, and that amount in a capsule is so almost laughably above what they could ever use, that we decided to fill it with complementary herbs, hence the IQ part of ProBio. Red reishi mushroom, which is an adaptogen, and one of the very best, and Bacopa monnieri, an Ayurvedic herb for memory and brain function. And these probiotics and these herbs are also included with this unique fiber blend that we call Fiber Tract. That's a very small amount of 2 acid-resistant fibers. That, in other words, they resist stomach acid so that they bind to all the rest of the ingredients and they go further into your intestinal tract. Why do we want that? So that they can get into the small intestine and enhance their benefits. And that actually is, they basically double the time, the transit time. Instead of 25 minutes or so to digestion, 45, which lets them go into your small intestine and have a greater impact. And that's why we can see experiences like this in our own life. So that's a little bit of the overall. And I will say that with the reishi, I was listening to Tammy Bontrager talk about immune. What she said, several things are straight from, even though she wasn't quoting studies, straight from studies on red reishi on why that would be the way it is in terms of immune enhancing. So, because sometimes we can look at ProBio because it's just ProBio, the name, And we forget about the adaptogens in there and the wonderful immune enhancement and actually the protective properties. And red reishi is a big reason for that. So I did want to just bring that up just because of what Tammy Bontrager had shared about that. So let me just read you a couple of things about the 6th strain, because a few years ago, we added a 6th strain. We don't lightly change these very, very core formulas of Sol because they were developed over a period of time and really carefully selected and combined. And we don't want to, unless there's a super compelling reason, kind of interfere with the balance that we have and try to maintain that by adding something else into the mix. But in the case of ProBio, it was so compelling, it met all the standards for us to add it to the formula. So let me just tell you a couple things, okay? So I'm sorry that I'm staring into something else, but I'm just going to give you a couple of facts about this other strain. It's called Propionibacterium freudenreichii. Okay, why did we first suddenly go, whoa, this is Dr. Allison who brought this to our attention. Number one, it survives a very long time at room temperature. It's exceptionally hardy. It can adapt and thrive in very stressful environments, including a human host with lots of different things going on in their gut. Okay, so that's number one reason. It also it doesn't need, some probiotics need more nutrition to survive than others. This can survive on very low nutrition to thrive. And it actually creates some very important nutrients. It's a little factory, okay? So what else about it? It actually adheres quite well to our gut wall. Not all probiotics have, some flush through more easily and you have to keep taking them. This one has better adherence. It is known to generate short chain fatty acids. How many probiotics do you know that do that? Specifically create them for you. Why is that important? It protects the lining of your intestine. It downregulates a certain protein in your gut that is pro-inflammation and pro-abnormal cell. It downregulates it. It also produces substances that help us absorb more calcium, magnesium, and potassium from our food. That's from Dr. Allison, I'm reading. It produces several bacteriocins. Those are the sins of bacteria. No, they're just a substance, bacteriocin, that is inhibitory to bad bacteria, like gram-negative bacteria, like yeasts, like molds. This Propionibacterium freudenreichii produces these to keep them at bay. It is antifungal and antiviral. Another study she cites from PubMed. It makes B vitamins. So at least 3 that we know of. Biotin, a lot of talk about biotin lately, right? With collagen, it makes it. Folate, it makes it. B12, which is cobalamin, it makes it. And did you know that B12 has 2 major forms in nature, one that is inactive and one that is nutritive to us? And sometimes we get caught up in the inactive one that our body does not absorb, and we think, hey, we're getting it. And I'll give you an example. Miso, nori, wakame, spirulina all have the pseudo B12, pseudo cobalamin, which means body can't use it, but it takes up the receptor site. So what this bacteria does, Propionibacterium, in ProBio, it makes it. It generates B12. Not only does it generate it, but in Germany, it's recognized, I think it's the Commission E, is the organization, that it actually creates nutritionally significant levels of it so that it can make a difference to your health, okay? So B12, energy and mental focus and 100 different things. B12 is a very important vitamin. And this bacteria makes it, okay? Did you know it also generates electricity? We are energetic beings. The smart body that Tammy was referring to has a lot to do with the flow of energy, blockages of energy, interruptions and imbalances. So energy deficiency and depression, energy depression is, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, one of the big problems of most everyone because of diet, stress, talk environment. Lifestyle, I'll throw that in there, okay? That's why everyone is looking for something that increases their energy, but there are different ways to get energy. It's not all one thing, right? And we kind of want to look at all those ways in Soul products. I mentioned the fatty acids. CLA is produced by this bacteria. And what does that do? Why is that important? Our blood sugar improves insulin and reduces glucose, actually works on the balance between muscle and body fat. And so that those metabolic processes, hyper-responsive airways, like with asthma, get modulated and downregulated, again, from these fatty acids that are produced by this probiotic. You can see why we kind of fell in love with it, right? It also, scientists saw that other bacteria grew better. If this one was present, Bifidobacillus, bifidobacteria grow more productively. They colonize better. It also produces things that keep other bad bacteria from being able to stick to the walls. In other words, so that they'll pass through and pass out of us. That's something else that that propionum does. An example, H. pylori. One of the studies Dr. Allison cited in her training was that specifically propionum bacterium Freudenreichia inhibits the adhesion of H. pylori to intestinal walls. Okay, like that, give me some of that. And I'll even take it through my belly button, Corinne. It also can help remove or neutralize mycotoxins. So these are those molds, those chemicals that can attach to foodstuffs and grains due to often in human conditions that can be very, very problematic and extremely severe in cases. Here's an example of I'm sure there are other bacteria that do this as well, but propionum does this. So there's going to protect liver and everything else. Another study showed cadmium and lead, heavy metals. This bacteria helps remove them. So pretty amazing, huh? I'm not gonna, I'll stop there, okay? Because it's a pile of things. Oh, let me just I'll stop there on this one, but I wanted to go to the red ratio because I'll just end with red ratio, okay? Because it's better if I read them. Because I don't always remember everything perfectly. Okay, so Tammy Bontrager talked about like illnesses and infections and things. The infection-fighting cytokines go up when we eat red reishi. And guess what else happens? Our neurotransmitters are protected, or their destruction or their damage is inhibited or prevented by red reishi. It's another reason it's in there. It is antiviral, it's anti-inflammatory, it protects the liver. And listen to this one, because this has to do with like that whole gut-brain connection. In several studies shown to heal gastric ulcers, restore the mucus to protect, and move prostaglandin back to normal levels. Okay, so what we didn't know when we formulated this, we knew somewhat, but not to the extent that red reishi also is wonderful food for the bacteria. We knew that to a certain extent. Both of these herbs were in there. They provide the food for the strains of probiotics that are in there. But you can see that instead of just being like, generally companies will put inulin in there as food. These are adaptogens, and they do that same thing. Plus they add all of their own benefits so that you sort of get a double whammy. Someone the other day told me that Soul products are typically like buying 2 or 3 different products. And that is true. You could say that of almost every product because we actually put high enough dosages in. So you could get this herbal immune with red reishi and bacopa and mental focus. There's enough in there to be its own product. And then there's enough in there to be this whole probiotic product, but you've got them both together. So Probio IQ, there's a reason it's in all the core balancing programs. It's just a daily, maintenance just one. It's a colonizer. But then use, like Tammy said and others, it's really easily used where you can scale it to whatever your need is for a lot of different things because of the variety of the formula. So hope I didn't take too long there, Corinne, but Probio That it was good 10 years ago, and it's even better today.
I love this. And I remember being at that meeting in Vegas. You guys, I always have a fly that comes when I'm hosting or when I'm teaching, and it just came. Anyway, so I remember being at that meeting, and Allison made us learn how to say that. And I say it differently than you say it. But I just thought I will never forget that, because she talked about those benefits. And so everything that you talked about, it just makes me go, yep, I need to carry a ProBio IQ with me everywhere I go. So I love it. And I apologize to everybody. I should have said, take just a second, grab a pen and paper, because I know I am just writing on everything here at my desk. But I loved everything that you brought out about it. And I know you've said this over and over, and I know Allison has said this over and over, but sometimes I feel like I'm learning things for the first time, when you're talking. So I love that. Well, we are going to ask you a question, and we'd love your thoughts on it for just a minute. Thank you. I was just trying to pull it up on my phone. We know, can you just share a little bit more about the statement that we utilize both scheduled and random finished product testing in adherence with our higher sole certain standard and not just required by the industry?
Yes, I'd love to, Corinne, because I mean, truly, it's not like we want to, it's not us trying to go around saying we're better, but I will tell you that is written for a reason. And I have shared this before. It is written so that people can read it and see what we stand for. And it's written so that every employee of Soul and everyone involved in bringing the products to you always knows the standard we're committed to. And we are committed to excellence, not the goal of just adhering to the regulations and saying, okay, we're adhering to the regulations and that's excellence. Because the truth is, and the regulations are good. I want to say I'm glad, because I see more and more of them over the years, and they are getting more stringent. So that's good. That's good for society and everything. But that can't be our focus, because when you really immerse yourself in this, they do not cover everything. I've said it before. You can have a product that completes every required test perfectly. It's 100%, and it can be 0% or 2% effective because it's such a poor quality actual powder, even though it complies. So that's why we say it's a higher standard, because it's higher in the sense that well, I'll give you a few examples. We look at more aspects than just what the laws say. And we don't necessarily try to peg it at the laws. Like, for instance, there are laws about heavy metals, what the percent they can be in a plant. Because we use concentrated in our whole philosophy, more dense extracts of plants, we can use a smaller amount of the material and hence lower the heavy metals significantly lower, not only than the federal standard, but then the California Prop 65 standard, which is a lot lower than the federal. We're a lot lower than they are in reality, because of what we choose to use in the extracts of herbs. So that's an example of us not necessarily pegging things at what the industry standard is, but looking at what's the best way we can make this formula? How can we put the most in it to give the broadest benefits to completely nourish the aspect that we're trying to handle, but also give the best that is possible, because the extraction methods do improve over time, and we expect them to continue to improve. In terms of random testing, yes, you have certain testing that you are required to make. And we mentioned here that we do scheduled and random. And I'll give you an example. Like, we were curious months after Soul Complete, we normally would have it in stock here, I'll tell you, less than 6 months. The batch size that we make, we typically target 3 to 5 months. So that's literally how short the product is sitting in our warehouse by the time it gets to you, because we could make a bigger batch, which there is in the business world, there's motivation to do that because you can do it fewer times and just be done, and then just leave it stacked in the warehouse. But we use natural flavors, and we use components that we want to cycle more frequently. And so we don't even worry about, we don't have anything that sits for years or even a year, okay? But nonetheless, we do get curious sometimes. So we've tested the drinks you see in this picture. They have a 3-year life, right, on the packet. We've tested one out at 5 and 6 years and still found 0 growth. So it's a microbial test. Does anything grow after that period of time? Nothing. Still as low as when it was put in there because they are sealed. And when you get to, hopefully when you get to come out, those of you who can come out this fall, we were just the other day down doing our final walkthrough and planning how to take you all through the manufacturing facility, and you can see the clean rooms. And you know, Blake's about to build 4 more. We already have, I can't remember how many, 6 or 7 in there. He's going to build 4 more. And it's taking longer because the wall covering he uses is very expensive and not easy to get because it's a stainless steel. And I won't even tell you what a lot of, but most places will just sheetrock and do a special paint, a kind of a higher ceiling paint. So he goes the extra mile to keep the area clean. After every batch, the machines are actually disassembled. The ones that do capsulating and the heavy working in it are literally disassembled, cleaned with alcohol, dried, and then reassembled before the next. So that's really what he goes through. So we already expect when we do random testing, et cetera, we expect it to be what it's showing, but we still do it. And so Soul Certain is about everything that we can learn and glean that is advancement in science that can help us, soul being aware of it and implementing it if it's going to make an improvement to the product for you. And so we need to be, and we are aware of industry standards, but they aren't our guiding point. They're just something that we keep in mind. And there are some points where the industry standard is perfect. Okay. It doesn't need to be any higher. I mean, you know, when it comes to like minimal microbials growing, it's great. We don't need to, you don't improve on that. But other parts of it, we choose our own goals there. So anyway, that are often higher. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Kristen.
Okay, well, and I love that. That's what you said. Valerie put a comment, says the standard of excellence is one of the things that gives me so much confidence in recommending these products for clients and of course the family. And I love that. We never have to worry. We never have to wonder. And in the industry, sometimes that is taken for granted. So, but I want to have, you know, there's also, as we talk about the products, we know that there's a business opportunity that's tied to this. And I am so excited to introduce Marcella to go ahead and share with us about how she's using happy hours.
Hey there, I'm Marcella from Houston. So I started my soul business back in 2015 when my sister introduced me to it. And because she was someone I grew up watching having to choose between life and a chronic illness, I knew that she knew her stuff and trusted her with what she was telling me. And since then, I've been a recreational user of the drinks, especially Cinemate and Renew. And when a new product was released, I tried it. But it wasn't until February of this year that I really submersed myself in everything soul. I was diagnosed with PTSD, and my next steps were medication. While I do not believe that health is a linear fix, Soul Naturals was a big part of that pie that I needed to function in everyday life. And I had already, for the most part, changed my diet, was taking vitamins for energy, was in therapy, was taking some of my soul products. And I'm a very firm believer in the power of prayer. But all of those things were helping me to stay afloat, not function. And I remember a few weeks ago when we were talking about the Neuro IM, or when Greg was talking about Neuro IM, he spoke about how his daughter bought some mushrooms at the store and then they realized that they weren't as concentrated as Neuro. Well, I was kind of doing the same thing and taking these herbs and supplementing with that herb and taking this one. But it wasn't until I decided, you know, I know that this stuff works. So I'm going to scrap what I'm doing and go back to the basics. And it wasn't until adaptable needed to work for me that it really did work for me. And when I tell you that that was a game changer for me, I can't go back to recreational use. I do still have my bad days, and I don't believe that those will ever fully go away, but they look nothing like what they used to. And I don't know where I would be without Soul. So Greg, I will brag about your products and say, yes, they are the best in the industry. This is something that I will forever have to take. And I don't suffer from depression. But if I don't take care of myself the way that I know I need to, I will probably one day get there. And really, that's how my business exploded in the month of July. I haven't done much this month and next month because I have several other things in the fire, but after Summit, I'll be ready. And really just sharing that story at my happy hours are what attract people to Soul. The biggest concern that I hear is that it's expensive. It can be, but it's no more expensive than what you find at your local Whole Foods or Sprouts. And it's much more concentrated. And not only that, some are cheaper. And even if they have like similar herbs, the blends that we have just work differently. I don't know how to explain it quite yet as well as other people do, but I know it works, so I share it. And so what I tell people at my happy hours are just try a couple of things. If you spend $75 tonight because you're here at a happy hour, it's kind of like a tonight only special. You can try one of the drinks in a box for only $25. And that's a big discount for you to just try something. Then if you host a happy hour, you can get so much in rewards or store credit, and you can try other things that you maybe can't buy today. And that's really what gets people into Soul, and they love it even after a few times of using it, after day one, or even that first time that they try it. And I just do this simple thing that the company has set up for us, and using your story to help others will help Soul sell itself. So this will forever be my habit that I need to support. So after Summit in October, my team and I will be hitting the ground running. And I think you
so exciting. I know, I think everybody's clapping for joy right there. So exciting. All the things that you mentioned about, those of you that are here for the first time, be sure and get with the person that brought you here. And after hearing that testimony, and it was her own personal testimony is what she's going off of. But have you thought about joining the Soul business? Right now you can join for $25, and with the little perks that she talked about, there's a way for you to receive $25 back with your first member. So it's super exciting, and that's with our virtual kit. So keep that in mind. We are all so excited and willing to share. So questions, get those answered. Let's go to the next slide, Kristen. One thing that I want to remind everyone, be sure to join Stories of Hope on Facebook. This is shown live every Monday night, which is so incredible. But there's also some fun testimonies that are shared daily about different things and about the different products. You can text the word HOPE to 1-866-256-1970. And that will just give you a little friendly reminder to say, hey, we're starting Stories of Hope shortly, a 15-minute warning. So anyway, so I just want to say thanks again for everyone who hosted, shared anything, commented. We can't do these calls without you, and we just really appreciate each one of you. So we'll see you next Monday.